We are back for a big week in the financial markets. We have inflation data coming in. We got the next Fed rate decision. All of that, we're discussing it and much more today. I can't even talk. First show back. This is Money Never Sleeps. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Before we get going, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined, and remember that nothing that we say is financial advice. Please do your own research before making any buys or sells, blah, blah, blah. Kevin, it's good to be back. I was out on vacation, had a lovely time with the family, but I'm happy to be here with you today, getting ready for not even a monumental week, just a huge Wednesday. It's just Wednesday. Like everything else, like today there was nothing, tomorrow's nothing. But then Wednesday, we get and I can't remember last time we had a CPI print the same day as the Fed announcing their rate decision. I don't think that whatever number comes out is going to impact what the Fed does, but it's wild nonetheless that we have so much potential market moving, information and Fed talk coming out in the same day.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back also. But it seems like this is the first time in at least 24 months since they started hiking rates that we've had everything land on the same Wednesday. There is one other thing that's kind of big this week. Tomorrow, GME earnings. So I'm sure that'll be fun for some of our casino players out there. But yeah, I mean, Wednesday is just an absolutely mammoth day. It could go either way. It really can. However, I'm leaning it's going to go one way. And it's kind of hard to negate that it'll flip, knowing that OpEx is just a week after that, right? Because if things work out for the Fed, for everyone, where they think that they're going to start cutting, rates in the next few months, maybe the surprise cut, CPI doesn't come in as hot as maybe we were anticipating, or if it does, there's reasoning why it is. So a little chance that we could see a little bit of a run up into that OpEx. That's kind of my assumption right now, but it's going to be really interesting to see how the CPI print and the FOMC talk either coincide, or if they differ, then you might have more answers rather than questions at that point.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of talk from some of the bigger financial institutions out there, JP Morgan, Citigroup, saying how, they're preparing for a big drawdown in the markets. I mean, we've been expecting that for a while, and that, we're going to see a ton of volatility on Wednesday. It could be true, or it could be that CPI comes in right at expectation and the Fed says exactly what they've been saying every single time, and there isn't quite as much volatility. I mean, no, watch me. I'm going to be just dead ass wrong. It's going to be just all over the place on Wednesday. But like everyone's expecting it now. Everyone is now it's back to, we're in a recession. Now we're seeing shorts coming in on big tech, 34 billion in shorts on NVDA last I saw, which I wasn't here last week to discuss. Jensen Wong, the toppiest of top signals, Jensen signing a female fan's chest. So that sure was something. Maybe, we saw the NVIDIA split today. We can talk about that. I am curious to know how many people didn't realize it was splitting and opened up their portfolios today to see the price at 120 were like shitting their pants. That would have been really good. But, what do you think that we're getting ready to see this big drawdown in the markets, or because people are preparing for it now, we're just not going to see it happen?
Yes and no. I still believe that we are going to see a big come down. But again, I think that we're seeing trends in the market, especially since 2020, not even 2020, 2018, I would say, where you see the market pull back from all-time highs, right? And that's kind of the area that we're in right now. So I don't think it's going to be a slow bleed like a lot of people were anticipating. Very similar to how 2008 played out, right? 2008 was, as soon as they started cutting rates, it was a slow bleed until we got to the point where those two banks collapsed. And then obviously a lot of that subprime credit just went absolute tits up, which maybe that happens with CLOs, but I think we're going to see a major drawdown. It's going to be faster than people anticipate. Now, the reasoning behind that, we are at the apex of the VIX, and it's a 4-year cycle for the VIX where it hasn't broken out above that And every time that we get to that apex, there's a good chance that we have a major breakthrough. I mean, last two times that we've seen it was 2018, which was Volmageddon, and that was after I think a 2 or 3 year cycle, and then the pandemic, which was a 2 year cycle, and we saw that major, pump. I mean, I guess pump in the VIX, but dump in the markets that coincided with it. So I think that for right now, though, for the time being, since everyone is somewhat bearish, I still think they need to juice the markets a little bit, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, OpEx. And the big one, this may be the stupidest, but also the most logical one, is those NVIDIA calls have not been closed yet, right? I mean, that's if you're going to just go off of something based off that, might not be a bad gauge. We're
Has
seeing that
Nancy
fears.
is Nancy still holding? Because if she's still holding, all bets are off on how high it can go.
I'm just saying I don't think that Nvidia's not going to not become the world's most expensive company. It's not going to be the wealthiest company in the world. I think there's a good chance that it can knock Microsoft off, and it could be as quick as a week from now, 2 weeks from now, right? It really
Not
depends.
far. It's not far behind Microsoft at this point.
It's 3%. It doesn't make sense. Let's put it this
It's
way: it does not make sense one
it's
bit how
it's
fast.
still just above Apple, just slightly ahead of Apple now. But yeah, it is. It's on its way.
And this is the thing I was talking with House about last week, and I think there is a black swan coming. It's kind of looming out there. Pick your poison, what it could be. I'm going to go the more logical route and say that it's tied with Nvidia, and that's what causes the VIX to spike and the S&P to dump, right? We know that Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple, top three holdings in the S&P 500. Nvidia is the one that's the catalyst where there's no support below it. If anything, something with Taiwan, uh, they miss earnings, anything that just catches it offside, the market doesn't see it coming, and the VIX has pretty much been for the past 4 years. Oh no, we'll worry about it later. We'll worry about it later. We'll worry about it later. Just keep shorting volatility. That's the one that can unwind the market. So that's my logical opinion of what causes a major crash in actual equity prices. I don't think that's the reason why it actually crashes, though. We've talked about the banking crisis, talked about commercial real estate. We talked about also just constricting credit for how many years now? It's 2 years, and with an inverted yield curve. That's probably your answer as to what really happens. But long long story short, yes, I think that a major crash is coming. I just don't think it's going to be right when everyone thinks it's going to happen. It's going to come when you least expect it.
It always happens that way, doesn't it? A watched pot does not boil. All right. We have you want to talk about Apple for a second here? They had
The
their
calculator app.
their big event today. The first time that talking about AI didn't help your stock price. Apple down just under 2% on the day. A lot of talk, their partnership with OpenAI and how they're going to integrate that into your iPhone. The calculator thing. Man, this is a tough day. They announced that they'll have this calculator app and you can just write equation in there. It'll solve it for you. This is a tough day for my third grade math teacher who got mad at me and said that you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket to do math for you. Eesh, she is eating those words as we speak. Sorry about that, Mrs. Madison. But yeah, we saw Apple unveiling, a lot of focus on AI. They thought that, if they said AI, their stock price would rip. It did not.
Nope. And that's kind of questionable right now too. I haven't opened up Apple's chart in the longest, but I'm just looking at this here. I mean, it's a triple top, is it not? Right across the board. It's in this pattern where it's just top, top, top. You can even say it's a head and shoulders, and it's almost an equal head and shoulders at this point. This starts to reverse the opposite way, starts filling these gaps down here. Well, then you're probably. I don't think you're gonna get a quadruple top. I think it's going to be far too late for that, but you're probably going to see a pretty good correction here on Apple. Let's see on the weekly how it's looking. Yeah, I mean, look how much it's shot up in the weekly since, right around the time I closed my shorts. It started jacking the price up straight up. We're overbought on the weekly once again. So, I mean, for this to be a place where we start to see Apple reverse, maybe. You could also get a fake out, though. I will say that. There's a possibility you get a fake out if, say, CPI comes in cool, and you also get, Powell and the Fed saying that, might be cutting rates soon. This thing could shoot straight up for a short period of time, I think. I think that's just market euphoria itself. But in terms of looking at this without any type of, I guess, financial data that's going to make us think otherwise, I mean, this just shows you where resistance lies for Apple. So I think this is where you're seeing a lot of your sellers, and you're probably not going to see a lot of buyers if nothing changes in the market itself until you get to about that 165 level. But the AI train can't roll on forever. It really can't. At some point, it's gonna just, I don't know, run out of gas. And I think that there's a pretty good chance that for a lot of these companies that aren't NVIDIA for the time being, you're starting to see that.
All right. Where do we want to go next? There's a few things that we can touch on around the health of the consumer that I think are noteworthy. One of them in my home state of Colorado, where sales of marijuana are just drying up left and right, which, I've been here for 10 years now. I moved out here right after recreational weed was legalized, not for that reason. It was just a happy coincidence. But we're seeing sales down $700 million, which is not ideal for the economy here in Colorado. Also saw on Unusual Whales, California fast food restaurants have cut 10,000 jobs since passing a $20 minimum wage. So you got people losing jobs on that front. You have more and more being automated. You have less people spending, and therefore a lot of these Colorado dispensaries are either going to shut down or they're going to be staffing less. So, the cracks are forming. We're seeing, I've brought up the housing market here, seeing more and more houses being listed for less and staying on the market longer. So the ripple effects are beginning to be felt, and it just feels like it's only a matter of time until that big wave comes through and just fucks everything up.
Oh, dude, we're literally, I mean, the banks are in so much pain right now, and they need these rate cuts more than anything. Like, they're probably praying that Powell cuts rates sooner than later because they have not created any new debt. And that just means that people who have money in their banks, you're starting to see runs slowly start to happen in some of these regional ones, especially. But a lot of these big banks are just losing, deposits like crazy. People have to spend money in order to survive. They're dipping into their savings. They need money to operate pretty much, and that's how they benefit, just loaning money out back and forth. The more that we see these cracks, it just tells you how close we are to something catastrophic happening. We're literally like walking on thin ice over a frozen lake right now.
Yeah, Ace, good to see you, by the way, buddy. They're either growing their own, or they're buying it from a dealer, or they're in really bad shape and they're scraping out all the resin they can from any bong they get their hands on and just smoking that instead. So that's what we're looking at there.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, with how legal it is here, and with how many dispensaries we have, and how long it's been legalized, and how many grow operations are here too.
Is this the time to go long on crack? It's cheaper.
Is there an
Heroin
ETF
too?
for that?
A crack ETF? We'll
I'm
take a look.
Instead of the BlackRock ETF, the Crack Rock ETF, Black Crack Rock ETF.
I thought you'd say, "Oh my gosh, Crack Rock." It's probably like It's probably the same price as crack itself, $3.
I don't know the price. I don't know the current price of crack. That is not in my
street price or OTC.
I don't know, man. Where can you buy a crack OTC?
Over the counter, bro.
Yeah, I know that. Well, you got Walgreens in Chicago over there just selling crack over the counter?
No, you go to like Philly. I mean, you can go downtown anywhere. Philly,
go to Baltimore.
Crack. Oh, tons. Crack next soul. Man, someone airdropping our wallets right now.
I'm sure it's been around already. There's probably one called crack. Okay.
All right.
What else can we touch on at the moment? Like I said, no data this morning, no earnings or anything. We're seeing the markets. They started off down on the day, relatively flat. Now they've bounced back up a bit. We're seeing, I think it's all the anticipation is Wednesday morning. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow is similar to today, where it's just kind of, chop, and we're just all eyes are on the CPI print in the morning. But what else do you want to touch on? Do we want to talk crypto for a little bit? Do we want to, anything in the stock charts that's catching your eye?
Yeah, I mean, it's very boring, and we can probably wrap it up a little bit earlier today because I think that there's just not too much we can go over unless we want to repeat ourselves. But GameStop, let's just look at this real quick because I got to talk about Keith Gill since you're on the show for the first time. It seems like, I mean, it was following a pattern, right? It was very similar to the pattern that we saw back here in, what is this, 2021, where you had this initial shoot up to the upside. Then obviously Robinhood did all the fun stuff, and then you saw it naturally go back up, double top at that point. It looked like we were getting to that point where we're going to see a double top. Maybe that's where we're heading to, right? Maybe we get to June, the 21st, which would be right around here. And we get a double top. I think that he's gonna have to close his position in profit if he didn't already, right? That's gonna be the really interesting thing. Now, I watched the live stream on Friday, and I think Keith Gill does a really great job of seeming normal, like all of us. But at the same time, I think this guy is like an evil genius. It's really hard for me to get a grasp on him to the point where I can't form an opinion, but I just like I understand how smart he is sometimes at what he does, right? He comes back after he has a massive position. He scares the hell out of all these institutions. They close their shorts, right? And then they go long on the other side to let it run up. And he's ready to run up with them on that, right? It's such an interesting predicament that he's in and this GameStop stock is in. I don't believe one bit that he believes in Ryan Cohen for that's the reason why he invested all that money to make money. I think he just knew how to play the game, and it's going to be really interesting to see when he closes that position because do I think there could be a run up to the 21st where everything just kind of runs up? 100%. I think that's very possible. I also think that earnings are tomorrow. Maybe he's able to see some type of profit off of that, some type of euphoria, because we know that's going to be probably the most volatile stock tomorrow in aftermarket hours. So I'm really excited to watch this one and follow this one. Again, this is kind of what you needed. You needed to get retail really excited about this market to get them suckered back in. Me and House are also talking about Bitcoin on Friday, how that we expect that to have a really good rally coming up here soon. Maybe that coincides with all the rally that we're expecting for until the 21st OpEx, but I think there's a good chance we could see retail get sucked right back in. And the question is, do they have as much money as they did back in 2021? I don't believe so. Not one bit. I mean, it's sucked back in like 2019 as well, right? I think he straight played everyone, including. I completely agree. I think this dude did a great job at pretty much seeming like the everyday common man, but he's no dummy. Like Keith Gill, 100% is a genius. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't form an opinion off of him.
yeah, I think who's pulling the strings though? Like, is he working with someone now? Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot more to this. I hope we find out more
I
about
agree.
it. I'm just enjoying watching it. Like, I have no financial Yeah, I am hands off, just watching it
I don't
play
care
out.
enough.
I guess we'll get to watch Dumb Money 2 in like 3 or 4 years to learn
Electric
more about
Boogaloo.
yeah, Dumb Money 2 like Boogaloo. I like it. That's a good call. We'll roll with that. Okay, let's look at Bitcoin. You guys were talking
Yeah.
about it, expecting it to rally here. It had a nice run up. It was back, touched just a titch below 72K on Friday, and we've seen it pull back now. Where are you seeing things in the chart as we speak?
Yeah, so it's obviously I think we were in this massive bull flag when we broke out of it. I don't think we're done breaking out of it too. It just seems to me that again, volume is extremely low, but the price continues to push up. I'm very skeptical of that in both directions. I think that it shows you that there's a lot of weakness in terms of money pushing the price up, but it also shows you that there is definitely something pushing this price up, but I can't put my finger on quite what it is. What I think it is probably stable coins once again. I don't know if Tether is going to see any problems. It seems like this entire election has kind of flipped its head on going after anything regarding crypto. I think any candidate goes after Tether or anything like that right now, that would be just absolutely problematic. And I don't think they're going to make that mistake this early in the game. Maybe come December, but right now they're definitely not going to do that. And I think that there's a good chance that we could see, this major resistance line here at like 75K. We could tap that once again. And I was telling House that we look at this historically, we're in a major bear flag, right? Higher highs and higher lows each time. We've only tested the bottom once, and that was back in FTX. But we've tested the top, once, twice, three times, four times. I think there's a good chance we could test it a fifth time, and it comes around the market tops each time. When we get around here, something big comes out, right? We got the ETF and the Bitcoin ETF. This is the Bitcoin one, roughly around here. Major shoot up. Right here, we haven't seen the ETH ETF push this up, but I do think that we could get pretty close to this top, and you could even fake people out. We could get a couple of days closing above this. But for what I'm seeing is that's a huge level of major resistance. Obviously, why do I think now is different than before? Well, back here, rates were at zero. Rates were still at zero. Rates now here are at 5.5, 5.25. There's no easy money, as they once said, with the pandemic stimulus, not in the hands of retail. And surely, if any institutions want to borrow, it's going to cost them a pretty penny unless they start cutting rates, right? So I think that what we could see is distribution to the point where we start getting rid of some of those major positions up here. And once, like we said, the volume's weak, there's not a lot of support or not a lot of money that does come in and buy up some of these dips, maybe because they want to buy a lot lower. It's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But I do think that for the short term, we liquidated a lot of people down to that 69,000 level. And that pretty much, I think, liquidated like $1.2 billion worth of longs at the time. Now I think we're building up the short position, and then you're going to see a lot of people gambling on this FOMC and CPI data, and you're just going to see them both get screwed. And I think there's a good chance that by the end of the week, going into the weekly close, probably a lot closer to the 75K level. We have to think in mind too, Bitcoin isn't crypto anymore. I will go on and say that on the record, because you got things like this. You got iBit, you got ARCB, HODL. There's a lot of things out there right now that really do impact the price of Bitcoin. And I wouldn't be surprised if you just see Bitcoin get to a point where it needs to be for the June 21st OpEx. And that's where it stays for then. So I think that there's a bit of a run up here. Volumes, stochastic RSI kind of says that there's room to the upside, but everything else is giving me bearish divergence. So short term bullish, long term, I am buying this shit.
It's a short term bullish, medium term. For me, I'll go me at least. Short term bullish, medium term, a little more hesitancy. Long term, very bullish. We'll see what happens. We've already had Trump going out there saying he's the crypto president, and he is a front runner at this point. So we'll see how that all plays out. Anything else in crypto? We've had shitcoin summer, Solana summer, whatever you want to call it, continues to roll on. So you're pulling up Bitcoin dominance. We're moving up there. Yeah. Why don't you go into your BTCD spiel?
Okay. I think that TA on this is bullshit, but I won't disagree if I see something. Obviously, that's a bull flag right there for Bitcoin dominance. That's a double-edged sword, because that can mean two things. That can mean that Bitcoin's price moves up, so everything else moves up with it, right, in terms of price, but Bitcoin just moves up more than everything else. Or it means that everything's crashing and Bitcoin's just crashing a little bit less than everything else. Bitcoin dominance, that's just something you have to keep in mind. Obviously, we're going closer to breaking this fairly soon. I think we could break this come Wednesday. The interesting thing is going to be if we're able to break 57%. Right now, without stablecoins, Bitcoin's dominance is well above 60%. It's at like 60.35 or something like that, if I remember from checking it last night. But it seems like, there's a good chance we could push up here. Now, the only thing that kind of scares me, obviously, is this bottom trend line here for USDT. We talk about this all the time. It looks like there could be a chance we could get a double bottom on this, and I think that's very likely. But obviously that comes with even more hesitancy, because we've double bottomed here back in March of 2021. We had another little rally there, and then we bottomed again in November of 2021. And then because we got that double bottom, it gave us plenty of room to go all the way up to, almost 10%, about 9.5% in June of 2022 when the market kind of crashed. We could get another double bottom here, and then then all bets are off. We have plenty of room for USDT dominance to rise. And again, I don't think anything's going to happen to Tether for the time being, just because of how important these next, June, 5 months are in the world, right? I don't think anything's going to happen for crypto unless something major happens in the world that affects all markets. That's all I could say. But it does create the conditions that are perfect for USDT dominance to rally extremely hard, Bitcoin dominance to probably break out and continue this climb to the upside. And obviously, there's a lot of other currencies that I think are starting to show major weakness, which allows the dollar to get stronger itself too. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, this summer with low volume to see how these markets react, because they could just be juiced and they could go up a little bit more. I don't know if they're going to see any type of slow bleed out like we were kind of seeing back in 2007, 2008. That's all I can say on that front. But that's for the crypto market. I think that Bitcoin and ETH are going to be the ones that front run everything. And then if we look at just alts real quick, I think the alts are starting to lose their luster here, even though that the stochastic RSIs are pretty oversold. They're breaking some key patterns. Like this is obviously a bear flag. You're probably gonna need a death cross on AVAX. Matic, while you were gone, had a really bad dump, and now it's still trading around that 65-cent area. It broke out of this. I think there's one other one. Was it Cardano? Cardano is still trading sideways, so I'm waiting to see what happens in that one. But a lot of them are putting in continuation patterns. Nothing necessarily has been putting in anything that seems bullish outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum for the time being, at least in my opinion.
Okay. That, I think, is going to be how we wrap it up for today. NVIDIA split today, Ace. So welcome back. They announced it at their earnings a few weeks ago, and the split took effect this morning. I guess you missed the very beginning. I brought it up. I was like, yeah, I can't imagine the people who logged in also not realizing splitting and then saw the price and about soiled their pants.
This is what I'm really worried about with this split, though. It came at the perfect time, right? Because there's a lot of people that'll think, oh, NVIDIA can go back to being $800, $900 that don't understand market cap, and they think that it's going to go up forever, right? It's not $100 now. It's just that there's more shares in circulation. People have to, understand that. But between that, GameStop, Bitcoin pushing up, if you get rate cuts, obviously in the U.S., there is no better way to juice the markets for at least a couple of weeks, maybe a few months there. So that's how I'll leave it. But yeah.
Okay. That is how we're going to leave it for today. Appreciate all of you for joining us. We'll be back throughout the week. Wednesday, the big one, CPI, FOMC, JFED, JPOW, JFED. I mean, JFED.
KFED.
KPOW. JPOW and his, what will be a riveting presser, I am sure. All of that and much more. So appreciate you for joining us. If you have not yet, like, subscribe, drop a comment. All of that good stuff is greatly appreciated. Thank you for being with us today. Stay safe in the markets, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.